Dangerous defects, bacterial contamination, and additives galore. Think there's nothing simpler than buying a can of food at the grocery store? Think again. Anyone shopping in the clearance section of their favorite grocery store will know that dented cans are sold at deep discounts. While you might be tempted to grab as many of these as you can, you should always make sure that these cans aren't dented because the outer surface of the can has been pierced. If the contents of the can have been exposed to air for any reason, they've also been exposed to bacteria, which means they're likely not safe for consumption. It is safe to eat from dented cans as long as the dents are small and the can is still intact, however, and stores regularly find dented stock that doesn't sit properly on shelves but is still entirely edible. Inspect any cans you find in the markdown section to make sure they're still sealed before stocking up. Sometimes you might find a can with a noticeable bulge that breaks the linear contours of the can itself. This type of bulge is a sign of potential contamination inside the can, even if it hasn't been opened. Compromised canned food with altered contours should not be sold under any circumstances, as it could cause botulism, a rare but serious illness that can lead to breathing issues, muscle weakness, paralysis, and even death.
You could see every feature, like my eyes were sunken in, and I could count my ribs.
Because bulges indicate the growth of harmful bacteria, you should never trust the food inside to be consumable. If you discover any in your pantry, throw them away immediately. And if you stumble across cans with rounded tops or bumped out sides in the store while you're shopping, report your find to store management so they can take action. One of the most insidious red flags thrown up by the canned food industry is the use of a chemical called bisphenol A or BPA to line can interiors. Though BPA was long used to create a rust-proof barrier between the food and the metal, studies later tied this troubling substance to cardiovascular and neurological issues. As a result, companies began using non-BPA lined cans. Environmental group EWG reports that as of 2019, 96% of all cans were BPA-free, though there are still outliers lurking on shelves. Many cans will actually tell you that no BPA was used to produce them, though not all. If you're concerned about the presence of BPA in a can you've bought, you can confirm with manufacturers how the coating stamped on top or bottom of the can relates to the composition of the lining. Once your can is open, it's important to inspect the lid and interior walls for the presence of rust. Rust can develop in areas where unfinished metal touches liquid, especially acid-heavy fluids like those found in tomato sauces. Finding rust on the outer surface of the can may not indicate rust inside, though you should be prepared to examine the contents closely. You should also remove the rust on the outside of the can with a rag or paper towel. The unfortunate fact about rust is that any contamination in the can might make the food inside entirely inedible. Should you find rust inside your can, it's worth a call to your grocer to find out if you're eligible for an exchange, store credit, or a refund. Leaving your open can sitting on the counter for too long can also start a rust reaction on the lid or rim of the can. If this happens, dispose of the can and open a new one. Depending on where you shop, you may find canned goods imported from locations around the world. In this case, you should be aware of the varying food safety standards employed in different countries. If you're ordering canned food online, be sure to research the standards in the country of origin so you can make the most informed purchase possible. If you're visiting abroad and shopping for canned food with the intent of bringing it back to the States to enjoy, you'll want to check with U.S. Customs to see if you're allowed to carry your purchases into the country. Certain canned items, such as meats that come from countries where mad cow disease is more prevalent, won't be permitted by customs officials. Though the FDA advises that canned goods can remain edible pretty much indefinitely as long as they don't show bulges or rust, it's best practice to keep track of the dates of the food you purchase. This will help you avoid buying cans that may not be as fresh as you'd like them to be when you're ready to use them, even if they're still technically edible. Though stores usually sell through canned goods pretty quickly, less popular picks may sit on shelves longer than they should. Even a single older can may get stuck among newer stock. A quick glance at the dates will clue you in on the quality of your purchase. Some products contain artificial sweeteners, which can cause trouble if you have sensitivities to these chemicals. Sometimes these ingredients are included in addition to natural and added sugars, and other times they're included in place of them. Artificial sweeteners can also appear in food products you might not expect, such as pasta sauces and fruit. You may see them listed by common names like sucralose and aspartame, or you may find them in the form of acesulfame potassium and stevia. Each sweetener comes with its own flavor profile that may alter the flavor of the food inside the can considerably, especially foods where you wouldn't normally expect to find sugars or sweeteners. Thickeners, chemical dyes, and flavorings can turn up in canned food too. All food-safe thickeners used for richer textures that may nevertheless cause issues for people who have sensitivities. Cautious shoppers can also keep track of synthetic petroleum-based dyes such as Red 40, Yellow 5, and Yellow 6. These are synthetic and not considered healthy in food of any kind. Artificial and natural flavorings may be listed without further description, which means the origins of the substance providing the flavor isn't clear. For plant-based eaters especially, it's best to keep away from cans listing these tricky add-ins.